What's good, my Regal kings and queens? Welcome to Zed Regal Mindset. This is the place where the mindset, it always matters. Now, today's reasoning is called breaking chains. Breaking chains. What kind of chains are we talking about now? We could be talking about the mental chains. We're talking about the physical chains, the things that tie us to outdated ways of thinking, acting, and it could be just social or societal norms, things that hold us back from becoming the true version that we were born to be, the highest version of ourselves that we can possibly achieve in this life. Now, I've been surrounded by and lived through so many different toxic environments. You know what I mean? The street life, it was crazy, as well as family life, like what we was talking about in previous talks, and it's all about adapting and surviving. But there comes a time in life where enough is enough. You know what I mean? Sometimes we can't keep repeating the same old patterns because we only get the same old things, which most of the time we get bored of. I know I got bored of some of the patterns that I was kept living. I was like, you know what? Something's got to change. You know what I mean? You have to look outside of yourself. Sometimes people like to blame things that happen in their life on other people, when in reality, if you want change, you have to be the change. So that means everything starts within. Do you understand? You have to make the choices to do something different in order so you get a different result. So how do we remove learned negative attributes? Because it's crazy, because when you're in a conditioned environment, that's negative, we take on those negative attributes. You get me? And it's easy to see those things become daily patterns. For example, like when I was surrounded by the street life and people that was on the roads doing road things, I absorbed some of it, not gonna lie, and I ended up having to spend some time in prison. Now, when I came out, my mindset was totally different. I was like, you know what? I know where this goes. I can see, while I was in there, I saw so much talent. There was so much business minds in there that just literally got caught up in life, trying to earn, trying to support the family, trying to do certain things. You know what I mean? So when I came out, I decided I've got to make some changes. I have to be different. And that's the thing about change as well. When you decide to change, and it's crazy, the people around you, they change. They either support you or they're against you. Do you understand? When you change, the things that people used to do to be able to control you or manipulate you into doing things that you used to do, when you change, they don't work anymore. So, it kind of gets people's back up, and it ruffles a few feathers, which isn't great. And that's what happened to me. You understand? When I came out of prison, I said, enough is enough. I put down the trap phone and I was like, all right, let's do this music thing. Let's do this creative thing. Let's do this healing thing. Let me find out who I really am. What skills, gifts, and abilities do I really have? You know what I mean? I didn't really know myself. I didn't really know what I was capable of. All I knew was that I enjoyed doing music and I was good with my hands. So I was like, okay, let's just start with that, So I went and learned how to use my hands and become a healer, a massage therapist. And I went and learned how to do music, setting up a record label, producing music for artists, and everything that came with that side of the creative arts. And I went through it, you understand? Especially the healing. The healing side was good for me because it taught me how to heal my body as well as heal other people. It taught me how to communicate with a different type of people from the ones that I was used to, that will be on the road, running up and down, selling weed and whatever else they were doing. You know what I mean? It helped me step out of my comfort zone into a different type of world. I ended up doing things like working in schools with young people, doing creative projects using music. I ended up working with what they would call the disaffected young people, you know what I mean? The bad breeds them, the one them that would always get in trouble. I overstood them because I was kind of classed as one of those disaffected young people. It wasn't that I was bad, it's just, you know, the things that around me, they didn't really engage me in a way that I needed to be engaged. Nothing really caught my interest, nothing lit my fire. Do you understand? So when I came out of prison, I decided to transform my life. A lot of people that are around me, they couldn't take that. For example, I remember putting on an event, and when I put this event on, it was a family member, funnily enough. I put this event on. All my events, they would go well. Not all of them would make money, but there was always a good turnout. This one particular event brought some coaches up from London, and the event was crazy. Sell off. I swear we was competing with, I can't remember what the brand was called. What was the brand called? We'll get back to that. In this event, anyway, it was great. It was around New Year's time. The event looked good. It didn't make money. Family member decided to get bad mind and go on with all kinds of madness and try to snatch money out of my hands and all these kind of things. And I looked and I thought, wow, this is just because I've made a change to do something positive. You only know me for being one way. Now I'm doing this. You can't take it, and you're still stuck in the same mindset and the same type of life that you've always been. Bad mind, jealousy, envy. When you change, the people around you, they change. You know what I mean? And it's not always for the better. You understand? If they can't do what you do, they want to fight it. And I just saw the thing got sometime, you see me? But I learned that in order to break the chains, you have to be better. You have to do something new. And sometimes that's not easy. You understand? First, you've got to figure out what you like doing. Sometimes that's hard because you've lived a certain life and that's all you know. So in that case, what I did, I went back to when I was a child. I thought back to when I was a young person. What things caught my interest? What did I really like? You know what I mean? And obviously that was music. So I said, okay, let me do something in music. There's a difference between trying and doing. Nobody tries to go to the toilet. You do it. You see me? So I decided to do music. You know what I mean? I was good with my hands. I decided to learn massage and do massage. You see me? So doing these new things enabled me to learn new things, put new things in my mind, so that would help me take small steps to whatever this new destination would be. And I had no idea what this new destination would be, because when I put down the phone, I let go a lifestyle that seemed easy, and I've gone into this unknown territory. And that's a lesson that I learned. Growth comes from being in comfortable situations. When you're comfortable, you don't always grow in the ways that you would like, because it's normal. You're just, all right, cool, I'm used to this. Do you understand? So in order to grow, you have to be and put yourself in some form of discomfort. You understand? One of the things I've always felt and said is that everything happens for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. It's up to you to figure out what is supposed to be there for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Imagine you've got a partner, a significant other. When it starts out, it's great. You know what I mean? But however many months or years down the line, it might not be so great. You might find that you're two totally different personalities, and maybe you don't get on. Do you stay with that person and keep going through the same, or do you say, you know what, it's time to cut? So a reason, season, or lifetime. You have to be able to look into yourself and know the difference and be like, you know what, it's time. You know what I mean? It's time to make a change. You see me? So doing something new and different is key to breaking these chains, these patterns of behavior and actions. It could be something that a friend or associate introduces you to, and you're like, nah, I don't like that. Do you know what? Instead of saying no because that's what you're used to, why not say yes? Let me try that. A lot of times we say no to things we don't even know whether or not we'll be good at or we'll enjoy. Sometimes you have to say yes to new things, things that take you out of your comfort zone in order for you to replace outdated ways of thinking and being and acting with new stuff. Do you understand? And remember I was saying everything is transferable. Things that you learn from one space, side of life, you can always transfer them in a positive way to a new side of life, to a new way of being, to a new way of thinking. Do you understand? This was part of my journey. And I remember while I was going through it, a lot of people fell off. You know what I mean? They saw me doing things and they would either support me or they either took their self away because they couldn't take what I was doing, or I had to let them go because what they were doing, it wasn't beneficial for me. It was causing headache. It was causing stress. I'm not about stress. I'm about a peaceful life. Do you understand? Sometimes reacting to other people's toxic behaviors, it is not worth the stress. You understand? The key to being the change you want is to do something new. And once you find that, you have to be patient with yourself, because we're never always great the first time round when we do something. Do you understand? And if we like it, we keep doing it a little bit more. Take steps. Just like a child, be patient with yourself. You know what I mean? You will get there. No matter what it is you're trying, you will get there. Persist. Don't give up so easily on the new things that you try, because the beautiful thing about manifestation and trying something new is once you put your intention out into the universe, once you make a choice, things start happening for you. Opportunities will come from random people. And if you take these opportunities, if you see these signs and follow these signs, those are the stepping stones for you in order to achieve this new version of you, which you probably have no idea where you're going. I had no idea that when I started my music and my healing journey, that I would open up all these different gifts and abilities within me. You understand? Of helping people, of communicating with people on a different level to what I was used to. You know, like me speaking to you now, how I am. Many years ago, this would not have been the one. I was walking around with the toughest of faces. I was unhealed from past life traumas, family traumas, surrounding, you know, them one that when you're in the tough environment, you kind of have to move a little bit tough, or people think that you're weak and, you know, they see you as a victim. So you kind of have to move a certain way. But when you change, you kind of have to change your mindset, your attitude and everything. You understand? Those that would see you as tough, now you've kind of softened your energy a little bit. They might try and see you as weak. They know you're not because they know the past. But at the same time, they'll try it. And then you've got some people who don't even know your past. They just see this new version of you who's trying, or who is being better. And they'll try and push your buttons, you know? That's where self-discipline and control comes in, because you know what you can do, you know what the old life, the old mindset can bring you towards. You know who you are, but you have to make a choice not to be that same person. It's not once or twice you have to make this choice. It's something that you have to consistently do to build that muscle. Do you understand? So that you can become this new version of you that you're wanting to become. You know what I mean? Or this new version of you that you don't even know that you're trying to become. But eventually you'll get there just because you're taking these steps. Just like walking. Once you start learning to walk, you crawl, then you walk, then you run, then you skip. You know what I mean? It's steps, progress. You understand? And that is like part of the steps to breaking chains. You understand? From negative environments, toxic situations, ways of thinking, you know what I mean? Letting go old patterns, letting go societal norms and expectations on you. I'm always about learning something new. I'm about self-mastery. I'm about self-discovery. I'm about helping people understand who they are, how to find solutions to healing different areas of their life, because I'm a healer. This is who I've always been. I seen the signs from I was young, and as I was coming up in life, I'd be speaking to people and I'd naturally give them valuable advice or energy that would help them. This has been who I am naturally. The more I got into the arts and the healing, the more it progressed, the stronger it got. Do you understand? From being a hands-on healer to being a Reiki master, which I was always doing spiritual things before even doing that. But, you know, it progressed. You know what I mean? The psychic side of me will get stronger. The mediumship side of me will get stronger. Do you understand? And I would always use these abilities and gifts in service for others to help empower others. If I didn't make the choice to break the chains, release old ways of being and old habits, I'm not sure I would have found or awakened this new version of me. And I'm so grateful that I did. You know what I mean? So remember, when you change, the people around you change. You have to expect that. But stay positive, keep persevering, keep moving towards your goals. You know what I mean? Keep moving towards discovering and awakening the version of you that you were born to be. The highest version of you that you can be. Do you understand? The mindset, it always matters. It always matters. And that's the Regal mindset.